everybody. This is Omar Serrato with the Tilted Lawyer podcast, brought to you by the Believe Podcast Network. This is our inaugural episode with the Believe Podcast Network, and you're getting it here first, completely ad-free if you are in the live. If you're listening to it on the audio podcast, I apologize for the ads, but if you want to get rid of the ads, feel free to, if you sign up for our Patreon, you will get all of our content ad-free. This is going to be a special episode of Family Law After Dark, and I have not properly lubricated. And so let me begin with some Knob Creek. It's Friday, man. It's been a rough week. I'm kind of bummed out. It's been a rough morning. There's lots of things going on, lots of moving parts, but I'm ready for some Family Law After Dark. I got 5 crazy hypotheticals for you. I got Dominic on stage with me. Don't expect him to chime in too much. He's going to be doing his typical producer thing, but he's here to give me moral support because I don't like being alone. And so here we are. At any rate, stick around. This is going to be a good one, folks. Let's do it. Oh, as I placed my whiskey over there, I had to turn it label face back because no free advertising anymore. Anyway, what's up, Mindy Mouse? How you doing, Dominic? How's your anime doing? Could I just ask you a question? Why does your anime character have breasts? It looks like a male with breasts. What is that?
There's just a big chest from doing a lot of push-ups and a lot of bench press.
That is not what a big chest looks like, sir. You should know that better than anybody.
It might be a little hard to see just because of the darkness, but nah.
Bro, in that looks like anime, rainbow bright boobs from 1984. It turned my brother gay. Don't ask me how. It just did. And around that time is when, my brother, he's very happily out as a gay man and a gay journalist. And I knew this from our childhood because the toys that he chose to play with back in the 80s was like My Little Pony. He would like comb the Barbie's hair and stuff and whatever, right? It was very obvious like which team he was batting for. And so when he finally came out like in 1999 or whenever it was, yeah, no shit. It's like, hey, family, just want you to know that I'm a proud homosexual. Yeah, no kidding, buddy. Like we didn't know that for the last 18 years. Melissa says, Medusa says, don't diss anime. I don't get the anime thing, man. What is it? It's just like cartoons. Like, I don't get it. What's the anime for?
I have to show you some really good ones. I'm pretty sure I can change your mind. I was the same way when I first started out. Everyone was always talking about anime, and I was like, I don't get the hype about it. But as soon as I like watched one anime, which was, I watched a couple before, but once I watched Demon Slayer, I was like, all right, I'm hooked. So I got to get you in it.
So I'm gonna watch an episode of anime and like get engrossed in the story, in the plot line. What are you talking about, dude?
Pretty much. You gotta like put yourself in the mind of like the main character and think of yourself as like a natural beast, like an animal, like you're just overpowered, and that's where it comes in. That's where you get interested.
You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to switch the audio to that. There we go. That's better. If there was an echo before, there shouldn't be now. I apologize, folks. That's what happens when I don't have Dominic in studio to run through the pre-game checks or whatever. But yeah, I can hear you much better now. Yeah, I don't know about the anime thing, man. I just got some news today. Melissa Pacheco, Nicole Kessinger, she might be leaving me to work in greener pastures. So it's a bittersweet day. There's other stuff going on with stuff. I'll just say this, man. I will say this. When it comes to people that put themselves out there to come on my show, if I have individuals that come on the show, and most of you guys are great, but if I have somebody that's brave enough to come on my show and debate me on any topic whatsoever and, put themselves on camera, lend their thoughts to the stratosphere, the universe or whatever, I would expect that my audience would not attack them for physical appearance or personal attacks or whatnot. And that happened a couple shows back, which was disappointing. But look, it's hard. to be on camera. That's why Dominic's not on camera. He's never been on camera. He views himself in an anime with breasts. How it is. And so I'm down with it, man. I will make you your Shirley Temple. I won't put rum in it. It's your request because you're watching your figure. But look, man, my only rule in the chat is I'm all for disagreements. I'm all for it. But if you don't come with an intelligent take on your own and you just want to talk shit about whoever I invite on the show, because I don't always invite professionals, man. I'm pretty open with who I let on the show. If you got a disagreement with me, my first instinct, well, come on the show and tell me why I'm wrong. I'm completely open. My mind can be changed. For example, one of the commenters professed to be a genetics professor or something like that, and was saying that you could legitimately be a female with XY chromosomes, but it's like XXY chromosomes or whatever she was saying. It's like this completely reasonable thing. It's like, that's amazing. It's fascinating. I've never known that wrinkle. I would love to debate you on the show, or not even debate. How about let's just talk and learn? That's kind of the environment that I try to foster on my show. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. All I'm saying is to the listening audience, just don't be a dick. How about that? Could we just be nice? Could we just be cool? Like, everything doesn't have to be all Batman and Robin over here. What does that even mean? It doesn't have to be like all swords and pistols and cowboys and Indians. What am I trying to say, Dominic? Well, that was... All right, folks. Let's get into some of this stuff. Hey, Melissa may or may not be joining later on. She's doing real lawyer shit. I had a whole show planned about a young lady by the name of Alexi Treviso. But I had to scrap it because I had to actually do lawyer stuff this morning and I only had time for Family Law After Dark. So I'm going to save that for another episode when Ileana is back with us from her month-long hiatus. It's been a while since we've had Ileana on the show. So it's just me and Dominic for now. So let's just get to it. So to these hypotheticals, hey, Dominic, you got some bullshit going on in the background. What's that about?
Really? Is it the TV or is it? I don't know.
I think it's
on low. All right.
There's like some feedback and static and stuff. Nah, I think it's all right.
Let me fix it. Hold on.
Okay.
You can go ahead though.
All right. So let's get into our first hypothetical for the day. So this person wants to know if they are the asshole because they want to get a divorce from their husband that wants a girlfriend. To which my initial thought on that is that's kind of how that works, but let's see what they got to say. So while attempting to refinance our house, I discovered my husband was sending money to another woman. Hey, Dominic, you want to know the worst example of this I've ever heard? In my cases anyway. So, you know how you get these spam bots that like pop up every so often, like in emails saying, hey, I'm just a single person looking for sex or whatever, and text me, and that's how it started. And like, it usually goes in your spam bot, but every now and then they will catch like a 75 or 80-year-old man and like make believe like they're his girlfriend, and like, oh, I live in Thailand, and I just need you to send me money so I could get a flight for a trip back to the States so I could be with you once and for all. And then he sends her $3,000 for her plane tickets or whatever. It's like, oh, thank you so much for the money. And then it's like, well, I was going to get on that flight, but what happened was the flight got canceled because of whatever, X, Y, and Z. And then rinse and repeat like another 12 times until the guy has depleted his entire retirement fund, and his unsuspecting 75-year-old wife is now left in financial ruin because her 80-year-old husband has been duped by an overseas scam artist that preys upon gullible people like that. So that's literally a hypothetical from one of my cases. It legit happened. I'm not making that up. Had a girlfriend, the whole thing. And anyway, so this person says, discovered my husband was sending money to another woman. After more digging into his business finances, I discovered he has taken this woman on 2 trips out of the country as well, while he left me with his kids. How does that happen? If I told my wife I was leaving the country for any reason, she's like, "Oh, great. So where are we staying?" It's like, no, no, I'm going. You were staying. It's like, oh, the hell I am. It's like, no, I promise. This is a business trip. I'm taking a business trip to Cabo. Like, shit. There's no chance I would make it out. There's just no way. There's no way. There's no way. Anyway, I guess this happens after the second trip out of the country. They decided to call it quits after I caught them in the hotel together. I got to get the details on that. How did you catch them on the hotel? Did you follow them? Was there a tracking device in the car? Did you knock on the door when you heard sounds of passion coming from the walls of the hotel they were staying, the Motel 6 or whatever it was? Was it a Motel 6? Was it like the Ritz? I got a lot of questions, man. 3 months later, he was asking to add a second wife, which is illegal in the States. It is. You can't have more than 2 wives. Polygamy has long since been outlawed, although recognized in certain religions. I'm not picking on the Mormons. They are not the only ones that have historically had that thing. Matter of fact, I'm not even sure if the Mormon religion still stands by that religious practice or not. I plead ignorance to that regard. So we've been together 6 years by now, married for 3. And now he wants to add another woman to our relationship. He portrayed like he was this monogamous, loving husband in the beginning, but now he claims he's poly. He's poly. He's poly. And I would be selfish not to do what makes him happy. This is the third marriage for both of us. He knows I divorced my previous 2 husbands for cheating. He's adamant on being with this other woman, in addition to me, even though I don't agree. I moved out of the house and I filed for divorce. The problem now is everyone is asking me to give the marriage another chance. It's like they're saying it's my fault because I was the one who moved out. I raised his kids the last 6 years, and I'm the only mom his youngest daughter knows. This is like that Mary J song. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
For like 12 years. Oh, the Mary J lyrics. Mary J lyrics. I need you to be like more like Jamie on the Joe Rogan show. Every day I was loving you. You were busy loving someone else. Loving someone else. What are the lyrics of that song? I can't play it because of copyright. Yeah. Not Gonna Cry. That's the song. You never heard that one? That's straight out of the 90s, man. That might be, 1996. Well, at the time I was loving you, you were busy loving yourself. I would stop breathing if you told me to. Now you're busy loving someone else. 11 years out of my life. Besides the kids, I have nothing to show. Wasting my years, a fool of a wife. I should have left your ass a long time ago. And then it goes into the whole Mary J thing. I met her once. She's a cool chick, man. Scary, but cool. I met her back in like 2000 at Kiss FM at the studios down there. Back when I was an aspiring journalist, hip hop journalist. I didn't what I was circa 99 2000. Anyway, before we get too far off track, so third marriage for both of us. I moved out of the house and filed for divorce. The problem now is everyone is asking me to give the marriage another chance, just like they're saying it's my fault because I was the one who moved out, raised these kids 6 years. So this is the hard part about it. I raised his kids at the last 6 years, and I'm the only mom his youngest daughter knows. Their mom isn't in their life. She cries, saying, "I know Dad messed up, but can you come back home?" The kids' godparents are marriage counselors through the church. Of course they are, and are asking me to give the marriage another chance. This is the second woman he's cheated on me with, and has apparently been cheating the entire 6.5 years we've been together. How many chances do I need to give him? He says he loves me, wants to work things out with me, but still wants both of us. I was a single or a stay-at-home mom, so I think he's just going to miss a clean house, clean clothes, personal driver for the kids, and in-home sex since the other partner is out of state. We have a 60-day waiting period before we can finalize the divorce. At this point, I'm second-guessing myself if I'm doing the right thing. Am I the asshole for not wanting to give him another chance and finalize the divorce? I don't know. What are your thoughts, Dominic? What do you think, man?
No, I think she definitely needs to move on and get a divorce. That guy, once they want multiple partners, it's over. You can't go back to being normal. So I feel
But
like
what
she
if they
definitely.
wanted to be poly? Like, what do you think? Just open it up. Let's just be poly.
No,
Everybody
poly.
loves-
No, it never works. People always say it to give it a shot, but it never works. So
What if
it's
your
always.
wife were to come to you and say, like, "Hey, Dominic, you're great and all, but I just need something different, man. I'm gonna be poly. I'm just
Definitely
gonna go
not.
on dates with Chad over there.
100% no, not for me at least.
I just need
Other
some
people might be
variety."
into it, but I'm not that guy. So
Well, in your 20s, man, you're just like you're just an internal hornball. It makes more sense for somebody to say that in their 20s, even in their 30s, I guess. But at some point, you kind of grow out of that shit, man. Like you just don't need it that much anymore. And the fact that this guy's been doing it the entire time. How old did this lady say that she was? She doesn't really say how old she is. Just that they've been together for 6 years. He's been cheating the whole time, 6.5 years. But it's also their third marriage. And so I'm just going to assume 3 marriages in, she's probably in her 40s. So let's just go into let's just talk about some reality for the situation. I'm going to assume that this guy is also in his 40s for hypothetical sake, since they didn't want to cop to how old they were. Medusa asked, did you see that Hulu was about to have a reality show with Mormons who do soft swinging? No, Medusa, and I don't think I'll be tuning in. Be honest, but I guess don't rule it out. Goddess Sahara says, I wouldn't say it never works. You just can't pull that in the middle of a relationship. That's not fair. I guess that's fair. I mean, what if, like, look, could we just be friends with benefits? And then it just evolves into, like, could we just stay friends with benefits? And then that turns into, like, I mean, we could, like, it makes sense for us to be together, but we could just keep doing our thing. But at least that way, it's all on the table, and you guys are truly living that lifestyle, a lifestyle of polyamory. I don't want to say that it never works. I don't know if there's been successful cases or not. And it's not even a new thing. It's not like they weren't doing this in the 50s and 60s, back when the government was experimenting with LSD, freely and readily giving it to whoever wanted to experiment and documenting its effects. They were doing that stuff. You think that whole hippie culture was by accident, man? That was like an extreme saturation of LSD into pop culture in the 60s that took place, that took human creativity and love and happiness and feelings and thoughts to a completely different level. That some would say it was very successful in the 60s. Others would argue that it also produced Charles Manson. And both of them would be correct. So
there's also that whole swinging culture with the upside down pineapples and stuff. So yeah, I guess that's true.
Oh gosh, I can't say certain things. I'm just going to say that, the swinging culture and all, it works for some. It's not good for others. Lots of people approach that culture with a brave attitude, with a brave face, and because they want to experiment and they want to see what it's all about. And then they get there and they realize, you know what? This is kind of freaking weird. I'm not down, man. I'm not down. I'm not down. And so I'm not here to judge. I'm just going to say that, look, you're 3 marriages in. What are your prospects going forward? What do you really want? I think you should have asked that question a long time ago. Not that you didn't, but you're 3 marriages in. So if you're going to go through with this divorce, I guess you have to ask yourself a couple of things. If you want to stay married to him, just know that he's going to be effing other ladies. That's just what it's about. The fact that you're even asking this question tells me that there is a part of you that values this relationship enough to consider that proposition. Because I think that in your heart of hearts that, look, you're not 27 anymore. And your prospects for landing somebody that you would be attracted to, hey, most 30-year-old successful men are not chasing after older women, but for some kind of a novelty. Most men around that age are looking for somebody to start. If they're going to marry, they're looking for somebody their own age, because for obvious reasons, child rearing years would be the biological one. They have freedom of selection would be another. And so your pool of candidates for starting another long-term relationship is going to be some other guy that is in his mid to late 40s. that's going to bring with it his own baggage. That's probably going to have gone through a couple of divorces. That means stepkids. That means exes. That means a lot of unknown variables that you might not be thinking about right now. It's going to mean that you're going to have to lower your standards a little bit because you're not going to get the 27-year-old successful guy that's with this burgeoning successful career. You're going to get whatever's left over. And whatever's left over is going to be this 40 to 50-year-old guy that has been chewed up by the universe and spit back out. And he's going to have a lot of wisdom and things to share. And you guys might have a lot of things in common, but he's not going to be like an Adonis peak physical fitness athlete. He might have a bit of a gut to him. He might be gray around the edges. He might not have the energy that, you want him to have. And so everything is a bonus that you're going to be getting. You're going to have to lower expectations. And so what's the cost of that? What is the cost? You got to give up this guy who you already know is cheating on you, but I guess you can't really call it cheating anymore if he's announced that he's going to keep doing this and you just sign off on it. Could you live with him in that scenario? Because it's really your only shot at a successful relationship with him. If in your heart of hearts you just can't do it because you're not down with sharing your man, then, well, I guess divorce him. But be prepared to buy a cat or a dog because you're going to be cat lady from now on. Because it's not, come on, what are you going to do? You're going to start a relationship with a 30-year-old? He's going to explore it for maybe 4 to 6 weeks, and then he's going to move on. Because the novelty is over and, he was never in it for the long haul. And you'll save yourself a lot of heartache if you just go into it knowing that facts, going into it with the least of expectation. I know that sounds harsh. I know that, but that's also true of him. Like if he gets divorced, look, you could chase around 20, 30-year-olds if you want to, but at some point, it's diminishing returns with respect to the man because hey, you can only compete with 20, 30-year-olds for so long before your body starts breaking down. It gets harder and harder to stay in shape. You start lifting the heavy weights you used to lift in your 20s, and now your joints start to hurt. You start getting tendon issues. You pull a hemi because you were doing squats because you thought you could still squat 275 for reps. And those days have long since passed because you got these creaky ass knees and your metabolism is not the same. And look, you'll always be able to attract women, but will it be for reasons that you're used to? Because most women that are younger, that are looking for older men have psychological issues related to some kind of trauma they experience in their life. Secondly, they're doing it because they know that you're more established and they have money. So they will make sacrifices with their standards to be with you as a male. So it's not like he's got this he's not out there going after, models unless he's got money and status to be able to pull that. I'm not even talking about prostitutes or sugar babies. I'm just saying there's a specific reason why women who are younger go after men who are older. And that in itself is a novelty of sorts that very rarely lasts forever. The most famous case that I can think of, Anna Nicole Smith. Remember her? Do you even know who that is, Dominic?
I don't.
I'm going to share something with you, man. Anna Nicole Smith, when she was married to that one guy, marriage. Oh, yeah. Miss good old J. Howard Marshall. I'm going to show you a picture. All right. I got to get a higher resolution image than that. Come on, man. All right, here we go. I want you to really focus.
Oh,
is it still on the screen? You see this guy? That guy was about 98 years old or something like that. He was in his 90s. Anna Nicole Smith back then would have been, 21, 22? But he was a billionaire. And so she did what she had to do. I think they were married for a couple of years before he eventually kicked the bucket. And then there was this whole litigation afterwards regarding what's going to happen with his estate. Obviously, his sons were like, she was taking advantage of him with the money. This was a case of elder abuse, elder fraud, whatever. And they were litigating for years after that. None of them are alive anymore, sadly. I know that's an extreme example. That's not. But it's the most extreme example I could think of is all.
That's crazy.
prospects for long-term relationships when you're in your 40s diminish exponentially with every year that you get older. And so if you want to be married for the rest of your life and you could accept it, then I guess stay with them. But your instinct was to divorce him, and you're wanting to divorce him because you're not cool with having to share him. Granted, you guys got married and you guys were together under false pretenses. You thought that he was being faithful the whole time. Turns out the joke was on you. Not only is he not the man you thought he was, but he was given all of his attention to other women, taking them out of trips to out of the country and all of that kind of stuff. That's always a harsh realization for any woman to come to. So there's a bit of ego involved. So what is she sacrificing by staying with this guy? Her self-respect, her ego, the premise that she was going to be married to a monogamous man to help raise her children for the rest of their lives. It's out the window, man. Everything is completely different. It's a lot to overcome. Is she the asshole for wanting a divorce? Of course not. Is it feasible to get a divorce? Yeah. You just have to, I mean, what's on the horizon? Some people would relish the idea of getting divorced in their mid 40s because yeah, I'll be single for the rest of my life because being married sucks. It's literally a death to self, a full-on lifetime commitment to your partner. That's not always going to be peaches and cream, man. It's just it's a lot to process. It's a lot to contemplate. And you never know. Goddess says the daughter is the only one alive, I believe. Oh, for the Marshalls? Yeah. I think the sons died a long time ago. Mittens says that according to my husband's 41-year-old single best friend who has had the worst dating luck. I missed something. Oh shit. I've heard that online dating is a lot harder for men as you get older than women. Well, I don't know if it is or not.
It just depends, I think, on how wealthy that man is.
It's either you're 25, between 25 and 30 and broke, or 45 and over and rich. That can't be the extent of it. I don't know. What's the dating landscape like on internet dating these days, Dominic?
It's awful.
I know you're
really
on
awful.
No chance you're not on. You have to be on Twitter. Tinder. What are the
No,
dating?
no, I stay away from Tinder for sure. Tinder is more for like hookups and stuff, and then like Hinge and Bumble are more for like dating. So I've tried all of them, but it's awful going on those dates. I don't know, from going from a 6-year relationship, coming out of high school to starting back over and like learning a girl's favorite color and stuff like that. It's just awful. That's the reason why I haven't gotten to another relationship, is because it's just too much work getting to know somebody else again and going through all that all over again. So I try to stay away from it.
Well, you just got to learn all the moves, man. Look, when I was 25, I wasn't coming out of a 6-year relationship. I was looking to sow my wild oats. So I was not relationship minded. Around 27, well, I was married from 22 to 28, something like that, 29 maybe. And when I came out of that relationship, I was all about, you know what, man, I went scorched earth. I'm going to sow my wild oats. I'm going to discover and meet and charm. I had to learn how to talk to women, because it's one thing coming out of a relationship like that, much like how you just came out of a 6-year relationship. I was coming out of a 6 or 7-year marriage. So similar minded, I mourned the relationship for like a week, but then it was like, F it, I'm going to go discover America. And I went to discover America, but that was my mindset back then. And if you're an older woman meeting a guy like me in my 20s, I was not in it for but maybe a week or 2 or 6. As a novelty, because I had things to do. I had to go explore myself and find myself. But I also am understanding that whenever you're coming out of a long distance or long-term relationship like that, or a marriage of any kinds, the last thing you're thinking about is, getting into another long-term relationship and confining yourself to some commitment that you have made to some other person. That's the last thing on your mind. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, no, it's definitely, like I said, I'm definitely trying to stay away from relationships, and it's more so like casual things now. Every time I go out with my friends on the weekends, it's more so just casually talking to women, but nothing serious. Not trying to get into anything serious right now. So yeah.
The crow. That's a bitchin' ass picture, by the way. What is that? That's an upside down looking
That's
raven. That's literally a crow, isn't it? As a woman, when I hit 30, for some reason, I had to sow massive wild oats. Yeah, I did the same thing in my 20s, going into my 30s until I met my wife. So it's like, but what happened to me? Okay, here's why I decided to settle back down. I was like, you only got so many oats to sow, man, because like you just said, it is hard work, like getting to know somebody like brand new and pretend like you like them and like you're interested.
Mhm.
The reality is, the older that you get, the less interested you are in what other people have to say. Like you got a small circle. Like maybe in your 20s you could pull it off, but I just got so indifferent towards the dating scene when I met my wife, and it wasn't that difficult for me to commit to her because I think at that point I had sowed my oats and I was ready. But if she would have met me, and my wife has told me the same thing, if she would have met me like 5 years prior, then we would have probably like met at a bar and like had fun for like a week and like been done and over with. And like, hey, we're not for commitments. All right, cool. You be my friend with benefits. I'll put you on the roster. Not that I ever had a roster. I don't condone having a roster, by the way, because it's not healthy. But yeah, I had this conversation with my wife. If we would have met in our 20s, it would have been like fun, but neither one of us were down to like commit to a relationship. And so if you are in your 40s, your point of reference for attraction is always going to be somewhere between 25 and 35. But those people are just not always going to be relationship minded. And if they are relationship minded, why would they pick somebody that's like 15 years older than them? The answer is they wouldn't, unless it was like a novelty because it's something that I don't know. They watched American Pie and they wanted to know what it was like to be with a MILF or whatever. I'm old enough to know when MILF was coined with American Pie in 1999. I think that was when you were born, isn't it?
It 99? Was, yeah.
You were not old to watch a movie like that, sir. Erica Pauly says, "Oh my God, player." I was not, man. I was just like, I would not define myself that way. I was sowing my oats like many women do. I was going through. Men have a hoe phase too. Women have a hoe phase. Males have a hoe phase. It's best to get that out of your system before you go playing in grown folks' business and get yourself in a bona fide marriage. You know what I mean? And so to this lady, I have that to say to her. The crow says, "Oh, he's a baby." Yeah, Dominic is a baby. He's very much a baby. You want to know what my read is on Dominic? I got Dominic's psychological profile. He's I don't want to show your psychological profile.
Let's hear
it. Dominic is 25 years old. He's very naive when it comes to women. He's a very sweet boy. But he's breaking out of a shell, and there's going to come a time within the next couple of years where he finds himself, and then he's going to start going through his hoe phase. Right now, he's been playing the whole 6-year relationship, but he's going to go through a phase where he just starts, you know what, man, I'm finding myself. He's going to find other aspects of his masculinity that he wants to develop, and he's not going to be right for a relationship probably for another 7 or 8 years. That's my I don't know. How accurate am I on that, sir? I mean, for God's sake, you got an anime. You have an anime character as your picture.
No, I think you're pretty accurate. The only thing is I don't know about 7 or 8 years until I get into another relationship. I'm hoping to, get settled down by 28, 29 and then start a family. Because I don't want to be too old when I have a kid, because then it's like I can't really do anything with him. So
no, that's hogwash, man. Bullshit. You are going to be fine. As far as, look, I had my first child when I was 25. I've had my last child when I was 39. I was 39 when Evelyn was born. But there is something to that. But until you're getting into your 40s, I mean, you're pretty safe, and you're an in shape guy. You're not gonna like let yourself go. I don't think. I mean, you may. No. You may, and then all that 240 pounds or whatever it is going to turn into you don't want that, man. You're like in a high risk. You have a high risk physique. It's like you're cool until you stop working out. You got to keep your cardio up, man. I got to get you playing basketball. I got to put you down in the post. And Erica, no to that. You cannot set Dominic up.
Let's start for Patreon members only. We're gonna start up a Bachelor series with me.
Dominic is the bachelor. Just know that his finances are not up to par. He's gonna need. Matter of fact, if he wants some super chats, we got to donate to the Dominic Fund to get his money up. All the money this show makes, most of it goes straight to Dominic anyway. The Crow says to do Taekwondo and you will meet a lot of hot women. Hey, I co-sign on that. I used to teach. You know, one of my tricks was when I was in junior college, and I went to junior college, I taught a kickboxing class. And the women that you would meet just on accident. You know what? Okay, I'll tell you the professions to have. If you were a young man, okay, when I was 18, one of my first jobs ever, I was working for a company called DHL. They're not that big in the States, but I understand they went overseas or whatever, but it's like UPS. I was a delivery driver. In the mounds of older women, not women my age, but older women like in their 30s when I was 18, the things that they would say to me. I would walk in there with my DHL suit with my little shorts on and my little polo shirt. And it was, if his finances aren't up to par, we should give him a raise. Shit. I hear you, Erica. But that is dependent on the super chats that we receive. And to date, as of 36 minutes into this podcast, we have received exactly 0. But yeah, I had my little red shirt on with my little gray shorts, and I would go around. I would do all these deliveries, and I would be sexually harassed by all of these older ladies. Now, back then in 1998, they weren't calling it sexual harassment. It was just like, come on, man, it's par for the course. But I have vivid memories of walking into this one place, and there was like 3 or 4 old ladies, and this one guy that was the business owner, and they would make all of these comments like, "Hey, do you know what a pearl necklace is?" And be like, I mean, a necklace made out of pearls? It's like, oh, we'll show you what a pearl necklace is. You just have to come after hours. Like, what in the F are you talking about? I came after the fact to learn exactly what a pearl necklace was when it got back to the headquarters. And I asked them, hey, some lady asked us, she was going to show me what a pearl necklace. What is that? And then they told me. And it was very X-rated, sir. Hey, look, we got some donations to the Dominic Fund. Thanks, Medusa. She's one of our ace mods. Just promoted recently, matter of fact. Also, if my memory strikes me correctly, she kicks like a mule. She posted a video of her doing like kickboxing. I think that was her. And she was kicking the shit out of the pads, man. I was like, yeah, you're giving up like 40% of your power with that stance. But I bet if you correct that, you could kick like Joe Rogan. Goddess says, don't let Omar write your dating profile. Oh, no. I will write a profile for Dominic. It'll read something like this. Hey, my name is Dominic. I just want you to know that I'm 25 and built like an NFL linebacker. I'm in an anime. Let's compare our anime notes. I have an anime. My favorite is this guy that has breasts. He has a bowl haircut. We could talk all about our fantasies under the orchid tree over there and write poems and talk about the Bible. No, don't let me write it, bro.
No, I think my move is going to be going to sign up for like some Pilates class.
That is a move. What would be better if I were you? Matter of fact, when I was about 20 to 21 years old, when I was living in Ohio, I worked as a personal trainer at Valley Total Fitness. And I was not mature enough to understand the opportunity in front of me. But as I think back on it in my older years, the number of women that were throwing themselves at me that I didn't register back when I was like 20 to 21, it's insane, man. At 25, I feel like you'd have better luck. There's ways to go about it, sir. I'm just saying. I'm giving Dominic this advice because he's like, I view him as like, he's like my son. He's been with me for almost like a year. He's the closest thing I have to a son. And if I were to have a son, I would give him all of my tricks and secrets. So get yourself a job as a personal trainer or a delivery guy or I don't know, man. But yeah, 7 to 8 years for you is a good amount of time to sow your oats and get it all out of your system and then be ready mentally, spiritually, and financially to start and foster a family, because it's not about your physical fitness, man. Your physical fitness is going to be there. If you're going to successfully raise a family, you have to, number one, think of it like this. You are investing in a family. You are going to be the provider for that family. And that is going to require your spiritual and mental fortitude to be intact. If you go into it, even if you have the finances, inevitably you're doomed to fail. If there are cracks in your mental game, if there are cracks in your spirituality, whatever that means to you, and your family is going to suffer for it. And so part of being a man is having those things in check. So when the time comes, you're ready. But the time is not right now, sir. You got a lot to learn.
Yes, sir.
And take that for what it's worth. But that's my best advice to you. If I were to talk to 22-year-old Omar, I'd be like, what in the F are you doing getting married at 22, sir? What is wrong with you? Like, you have all of these other things going on and you're trying to get married, and that's a deeper conversation for another day. But there is a time to get married. It's not when your finances are in check, because that's easy. It's when the trifecta is in effect: your mental, your spiritual, or your heart, and your finances. And then you're ready to lead and provide for a family. Absent that, it's not going to work out. You're doomed to failure. For the Dominic Fund, thank you so much, Pam. Pam is the boss moderator over here. She's been doing so much work behind the scenes. I'm so glad that Pam is on our team. She's amazing. She filled in on last week's Family Law After Dark, or 2 weeks ago, when our internet crashed, and it was like, oh shit. And then Pam she joined our show, and she was hosting the show all by herself, and she did an amazing job. Pam is like salt of the earth kind of people. She lives in New York. She's worked in finance for 30 plus years. She's amazing. She takes care of this channel. She's invested in this channel, and therefore we are invested in her. Winks says she is amazing, 100%. Una says, just joined the live, so way behind. Not a lawyer, but I tried. It's all right, but if you want to argue with someone from another country for a different point of view, hit me up. I mean, I'm always good for a full argument, but I guess my only question is, what are we arguing about? Arguing for the sake of the arguing is bad for the soul. You know what I mean? Anyway, I think we should get into another hypothetical. How did I get 42 minutes into this show and I'm barely on hypothetical one? Jesus. Okay. Let me get rid of this one. I'm going to, you know what? I should share my screen with you. That's something that I haven't been doing. I'm going to share my screen with you folks. And in the hopes that this is going to work, I just got to make sure I'm sharing the right. Yeah. Okay. I can embiggen it only so much. How do I get rid of this thing?
I don't think you can.
There's got to be
go to the where are you going?
I don't know.
Yeah. Click it again. Click the Reddit on the left side. Left side of the screen, it's Reddit. Oh, all right.
What did I do?
You closed it out. You got to reshare it.
How about if I just refresh?
Did it work?
Nope. Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna roll with this as is. It's the best I could do. Okay, let me share that again and make sure that we are. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So this person is 25 years old, have been married. She wants to know if she's the asshole for not wanting to sign divorce papers until the baby is born. This is the one, like, there was this scene in Breaking Bad where Walt was diagnosed with cancer, and then she wanted to wait until after the baby was born, after his surgery, to get a divorce. So in the description for the show, I referenced Breaking Bad, but that was the only reason why I did that. So she's 25, been married to her husband for almost 2 years. So short-term marriage. Stay-at-home mom to our 10-month-old and I'm 5 months pregnant. Yikes. Although he's the only one who works, he only actually works 9 days out of the month and is typically home between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. Unless there is unforeseen paperwork, then it's 1 p.m. Okay, so when he gets home, he'll make himself lunch, and if my daughter's awake, interact with her, eats, and then goes to his game room. Yeah, you can't do that when you got kids, man. That's the other thing. When you got kids and your wife is taking care of your kids, you can't just like check out, say, all right, I'm going to go play Call of Duty for like 5 hours. You got to be there and present with your wife and present with your kid, even if your nerves are shot, even if you really don't want to, even if you've had the hardest of hard days, even if your soul is completely shot. You got to be present in the moment for your family because that is what is required of your role in the family dynamic. This guy is not fulfilling that. So he will be in his game room for from then 1 p.m. until dinner time. And unless I specifically ask for him to do something with our daughter, there's little to no interaction between us or him and our daughter. How old is this guy?
27.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that a 27-year-old would do. So, Dominic, since you have been the topic of conversation for 40 minutes, this is why I say 7-8 years, man. Because when you're 27, I'm not trying. You have no life experience that is going to compel you. There are exceptions to this, of course, but on average, the average 27-year-old is not going to want to. They're going to want their downtime and their alone time. And for most people in 2024, that involves playing video games, and it's just something that women have learned to cope with because it's just been the thing. It's been a thing since really the 80s and 90s. And so, if you have to understand that when you have a wife and a daughter, there are needs that your family has that goes above and beyond your need to just check out of reality and game in your man cave. You have to be present for your wife. You got to be present for your daughter because if not, bro, having a toddler, watching a toddler, it is a full-time job, man. It's like every 2 minutes. I have a 4 and a 5-year-old, and they were very recently babies and toddlers, but it's like every 30 seconds, mom, dad, I want ice cream, but could I put sprinkles? And then you get her and you sit it down. Dad, I don't like vanilla ice cream. Could I get strawberries? And then you get her strawberries. Dad, there's weird red stuff in it. I don't like the red stuff. Could I have cereal? Actually, I want spaghetti with broccoli. And it's like a constant barrage of requests upon the parents. Now, imagine that. Take that and imagine that was all heaped upon one of the two parents, while the other was just sitting there chilling, playing Red Dead Redemption or something. It's just an unfair division of labor. It's never going to work. If you have a child, it is your responsibility as a man, as a father, to go in and play your role and to play it in a way that fosters your family and uplifts and supports them. That's why I say moral. You got to have your spiritual, your mental, and your finances in check. It's not enough to just provide for them financially. If that's the case, well, hell, I'll just cut them a check and then just go off to Barbados with whatever, you know what I mean? And so anyway, enough with my rants. I'm having a weird day, man. I feel like I'm more prone to rants than the normal days. And this is why I don't do family law after dark by myself most of the time, because I'm unchecked on all of these rants. Anyway, so all attempts to bother him are always met with some sort of attitude. Yeah, I can imagine. We FaceTime his mom every evening at dinner because it's when baby is most cooperative. He eats, talks to her very briefly, puts the food away and dishes in the dishwasher, goes to his game room. He will be in there until 6:30, 7:30 while I clean the counters, make her bedtime bottle, get her bathed, and get her settled down for bed. Yeah, so he'll do all of that. And she's, in the meantime, tending to the children. And then when she comes to bed, then he's ready for bed. He's like, oh, hey, nudging her, like doing the little poke. You know what I mean? Like, hey, is it time to do the thing? And then wonder why. And then start telling this therapist, I don't know, I have such a high sex drive. My wife can't meet my sex drive, and wonder why it's not working out. Because look, the sexiest thing you could do for a woman, especially that's married with children, is to cooperate with the duties that are beholden a married couple, especially with children. Sometimes there's nothing more sexier than you could do for your wife than to just take out the trash or go out and build some shit or go and fix some things or cook. If you learn how to cook, man, you're all the way in. It's just there's a division of labor there, and you're not going to be perfect all the time. It's going to be this give and take. Sometimes you're going to be given more. Sometimes you're going to be given less, but it has to be equal. But at this point, she's looking at this guy like he's a slob. You're supposed to play video games. I'm doing this by myself. She's no longer attracted to him because she's mad at him. And the longer that he allows that to go on, the worse it's going to get. And so inevitably she's asking for a divorce. So let's finish. My car needs new tires. Jesus Christ. So here's why I'm frustrated and I'm checked out. He expects me to have our 2-story house spotless every day while being the primary parent to our daughter. That is just unacceptable. Dominic, don't be that guy, man. You can't, it's not 1945 anymore, man. You can't just be like, I expect when I get home, I want to have the house spotless. I want to have dinner cooked. I want to have the girls fed and ready for bed. And I want you to be prepared for my oral desires and you're going to shut up about it. It can't, it's just not how it works in 2024, man. You can't expect a wife to be faithful for very long if that's going to be your move. She's talking about my car needs new tires and alignment and an oil change. Change her oil. Take it to the dealer and get her oil changed or what. Freaking Jiffy Lube. Change it yourself. An alignment. I don't think that women know what alignment means sometimes. I swear to God. She just needs new tires. New tires will take care of the alignment. I promise. It's going to cost you about $1,000. Let them pay it. We have a second child. And we have a second child we need to get things for. So I decided I was going to look into getting a job until I had my second to help cover those costs. I was straight up told no because he needs to sleep for work. I said I will be working at her bedtime, feed for dinner, give her a bath, give her a bottle, and you shouldn't have issues. You know what you're setting yourself up when you conduct yourself this way with your wife, Dominic? You're setting yourself up. Look, her main attraction to you might have been physical in the beginning, but now that's long since subsided. You guys are married now. There is no physical attraction anymore. You got to conjure up your physical attraction. You guys are so used to each other by now. You have to get real creative with it. And so now the things that makes her attracted to you is your contribution to her life, and your contribution to her life being you play video games all the time and give her shit about, whether or not the food is cooked and the house is clean. Well, you're not making yourself very attractive. That you're going to be prone to her finding a Chad out there who she doesn't have these obligations with, who she doesn't have to worry about, or is not dependent on all of these things. And all she could consume herself with is physical attraction. And you're going to get yourself cheated on, man. You want to keep a wife? Well, that's the job, buddy. I'm not talking mean at you. I'm speaking to the universe.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But look, men have duties. And the duties that men have are on par with what women have to do in the house. If you want to subscribe to traditional relationship goals or roles or whatever, then look, she's got her roles, you got yours. If she's going to do all this stuff for you, then you better have her tires changed and her oil changed and the bills paid and whatever else that she needs. And you cannot ever just check out in the middle of the day when the kids are up and they're asking for things and they want to interact with their parents, and just decide that I'm calling it a day. I'll be in the man cave if you need me. You do that when everybody goes to bed, when your wife is asleep, when your children are asleep and there's nothing else. Then you remove yourself to the man cave and you do whatever you got to do. But until that's done, your job with your family is not done and you got to fulfill your husbandly duties. Anyway, I'm preaching to her husband at this point. So, all right. So he then follows, well, I don't want to be left alone. Okay. Where did I leave off? He wants to sleep for work. So I said, I will be working at her bedtime feed for, I said, I will be working at her bedtime, feed her dinner, give her a bath, give her a bottle, and you shouldn't have issues. He then follows up with, well, I don't want to be left alone with 2 kids while trying to sleep for work. I lost it. And I asked, what's the difference between you watching them at night so I can work nights and me watching them during the day while you work and still work nights? He said, it's because my job didn't actually matter, which is fair as his gives him housing. They pay everything outside of his paycheck. But I'm still failing to see the actual difference. At this point, I'm frustrated and angry. I have been expressing his absence to his daughters for months and his absence to me pretty much our whole marriage. I'm just going to go out and say this. Look, if you are in a position to provide for your family such that you are the breadwinner for your family, good for you. But if it is your ambition in life, or it is your interpretation of reality that your financial contributions supersede everything above and beyond what anybody else has to contribute, then you are setting yourself up to get divorced in the most painful way you could possibly imagine. Just imagine she's going to find a Chad that's going to do all of that shit, or pretend that he's going to do all of that shit. And she's going to be shacking up with him for a couple of months. And then she's going to ask for divorce. And then you're going to be all butthurt about it. And she's going to file for divorce. And then about a month into the divorce process, Chad is like, oh, just kidding. I don't actually want a relationship. I just want to be FWBs. And then you guys are going to both be effed. You think I don't practice family law, man? I see these scenarios play out every day. This is par for the course. Anyway, so he didn't help. What did I skip over? At this point, I'm frustrated and angry. I've been expressing his absence to his daughter for months, and his absence to me pretty much our whole marriage. He didn't help with the registry matter of fact on several occasions, asked what something was and why we needed it. Why are we talking about a registry? What did I miss, Dominic?
Yeah, I don't see that either.
She just threw that in at random. Okay.
Yeah.
I was the one who did the research on products and actually did all the baby shopping. I guess she's talking about a baby shower register. I was the one who did the research on shopping and did all the baby shopping aside from gifts. And it was like pulling teeth to get them help. After our firstborn, Mill made several remarks about how I'm always had her and was taking care of her. He would make an effort to seem more attentive. I was just for looks. He gets upset with me when the house isn't spotless and even trying to claim my daughter is always in an extremely wet diaper when he gets home. I straight up told him if he didn't like how I did something, he could do it himself. And he can. And haven't really talked to him since. I don't know, ladies, you guys are hearing this. What do you guys think about this, man? Jen says, do men put these types of unrealistic expectations on their wives in order to have a reason to check out? Jen, I'm going to go out and just tell you this, that real men recognize the burden that their wives have with respect to the children, and they don't seek to define the divisions of labor. They just do. And I'm not going to say that I'm the perfect husband. Like it's not like my wife sometimes isn't like checked out because she's exhausted with the kids, because at the end of the day, man, I work, I'm a lawyer, I podcast, I do all of these things. And she works at home. And so that means that she is most of the time with the children. And when I come home, there are times that she's exhausted. I don't give her shit if the house is in disarray. I don't give her shit if dinner isn't cooked. Fine, we'll order out, or I'll cook. I don't give her shit about a lot of the different things. I don't give her shit about not being ready to have after dark time because she has had a day. You know what I mean? It's just not about that when you're married for a certain amount of time or any amount of time. When you got kids, it's a team effort. It's a team collaboration. If you have those expectations of women, then, hey, I got some bad news for you, buddy, but those standards have been archaic for like 70 years now. There was this whole thing about women's suffrage. Hey, Dominic, did you know, like in the 1910s and 1920s, when women would talk exactly like this, they would say that, oh, this woman is having mental health issues, and so we will prescribe for her an orgasm.
What the fuck?
You think I'm making it up? I Googled that shit. One of the ways that doctors dealt with women's mental health issues and gripes with their husband is to literally give them an orgasm. In various multiple different ways. Now, of course, it was all bullshit. And of course, it was probably male dominated for whatever their own purposes were. They would do that or prescribe like cocaine. And in the 40s and 50s and 60s, maybe the 60s, not so much the 50s, but in the 60s and 70s, they would prescribe in some cases lobotomies. This lady is out of her mind. There's nothing that we can do for her. We're just going to lobotomize her. Maybe she's going to be maybe that will calm her down a little bit. If you don't know what a lobotomy is, they would literally take a ice pick and shove it up your nose and poke a hole in between your frontal and some other lobe and disconnect certain synapses that would cause you to be sedate. And it would permanently damage your personality and various other aspects of your life. It's an effed up world that we've lived in with respect to women for a long time. To Jen's point, hey, the tilted uterus is here. She corrected me, work from home. What did I say? I don't know what I said.
Yeah, I don't know what you said either.
My wife is going to be like, she's going to listen to this podcast. She'll be like, you've been saying all of this shit. But I have all of these other things and you aren't helping with this. And I was like, okay, fine. What do you need me to do? Whenever my wife gets up and starts moving around in the house, you know what my move is? I go outside and I do stuff. I find something to do. You know what? I'm gonna go chop up boxes in the garage or something. I'm going to go take out the trash. I'm going to go. I usually go outside and do like yard work or pick up the dog after the dogs or whatever. But the last time I did a podcast about like dating your wife, and she's like, yeah, date every 2 weeks, huh? That's bullshit because we have, all right, do you want to go on a date? Yes, I do. All right. And then we went on a date to some restaurant that was like 100 years old. That was delightful. She says, hi there, the tilted uterus. Anyway, so I say this stuff and I'm setting myself up because my wife is going to hold me to account on all of these things. I promise you she is. I don't know. What do you think about all that I'm saying, Dominic? Do you have any objection?
No, I agree. 100%. I think this guy is just
a loser.
Yeah, he's that old and he's still focused on playing video games and he has a wife and kids and one on the way and already has one actually. So I think she needs to dump his ass, like Chat is saying.
Bro, in full disclosure, I still play video games. I'm 43 years old.
Me as well.
But I don't play video games like I used to play them in my 20s. You know, I play like after my wife goes to sleep or it's nighttime, I'll go upstairs like at like 10:30 or so, and I'll play like college football for an hour. Or
wait, I did not know. What do you play on? Xbox or PlayStation?
PS5, sir. I play Madden. I'm on this NC2A 25 kick because it just came out for the first time since 2014. I play Red Dead Redemption 2. That's pretty much all I play because that's all I got time for.
No, I think we got to run some ones on MLB The Show. I got to add you. We got to run some. I will
have your ass on MLB The Show. I used to be a top 100 ranked player until I got married with kids, and then I suck now. I can't. Do you play ranked seasons?
Yeah, I do.
Do you ever get to like World Series level and all of that?
No.
So I'll get all the way until like championship series until they start making you play on Hall of Fame. Then I can't keep up. It's like, fuck this. Freaking virgins don't got time to do shit else. I guess.
Have you played? Oh, look, Miss Medusa said, "Have you played Apex? LOL, we should do a Apex or Fortnite game night."
Dude,
I am super cracked at those games. I am as a kid was saying nowadays, I'm goated on the sticks.
I feel like I'm too old for Apex, man. And the Fortnite, I can't get into it. I get the premise, but it's like Call of Duty. Whenever I step out and I try to play, like I just step out of a corner and I'm shot like in 5 seconds. Like, what in the F, man? How do people see me? Like, how do they see me? I'm just too old for these games. I can't do it. I got to stick with my, I'll play it just for laughs, but I'm just saying, man. Anyway, the crow was telling us to focus, guys. Focus. You're right. I got to focus back on this hypothetical. Now we're talking about Apex Legends and all. All right. So he didn't help with the registry. Matter of fact, I read that part, didn't I?
Yeah.
I was the one who did the research on products, actually did all the baby shopping aside from gifts, and was like pulling teeth to get him help. After our first was born, yeah, I did read this. I straight up told him, okay. He gets upset with me when the house isn't spotless and even try to claim my daughter is always in an extremely wet diaper. And freaking change her, dude. I made this deal with my wife. I was like, hey, if we have all girls, then you have to change all the diapers unless an emergency or something, or you're not home. If it's a boy, I will change all the diapers. That was a contract. It was a verbal contract that I've been enforcing ever since she gave me 2 girls. Who are the most delightful of girls. And so what that means is she changes like 95% of the diapers. I mean, my daughter's not really in diapers anymore. Just like overnight so they don't wet the bed or whatever. But when we were changing diapers, that was the thing. So this lady says, I am emotionally and mentally checked out. I'm frustrated, angry, disappointed, and mostly hurt for our daughter because she really loves them. Yet this is what we were getting. I really didn't expect to be a single mom to 2 with how much he seemed to want and claims he cared for them. I'm just at wit's end. I don't leave sooner because obviously I can't afford to pay for my prenatal appointments, and I'm not allowing his lack of support to keep me from getting proper care for my second. This whole situation puts me in a weird predicament. I don't want to seem like I'm trying to keep the girls away from him, but he is moving to a new duty station next year, and I don't know if I'll be able to afford to keep them in close proximity. However, should I not be able to, that's 9 years. He will only be able to see them during the holidays. I've suggested marriage counseling, but it keeps getting told it will make him seem like a safety risk and ruin his career. And do not buy into that shit, lady. He's full of shit. Nobody's gonna, what is he even talking about? And his go-to first way out of an argument with me is, let's just get divorced. If he's telling you let's get divorced, then fuck it, get divorced and put him on child support. How about that? And alimony. How long did we remember for? 2 years. And I guess the problem for you, lady, is that it's you've only been married for 2 years, so you're not really due much in the form of alimony. It's a short-term marriage. You may get alimony for 12 months, but he's forever indebted to you in terms of child supports. Now, he's the kind of guy that's going to object to your parenting plan of, I will be the primary parent and he'll have visitation on whatever. At first, he'll be like, oh, cool, I'll do that. And then he's going to find out that, oh, wait a minute. Part of the support calculation is how much time I get to spend with the children. Then all of a sudden he's going to want 50-50. And it's not going to be based on the best interest of the children. It's going to be based on how much he owes in child support. And you're going to have this thing you're going to fight about this thing. So the smart thing for you would be to agree to a separation, not file for child support just yet. If you could wing it, if you could swing it for the next 6 months to 12 months, just let nature take its course. Figure out a parenting plan. I'm not saying deny him the children. Don't ever do that. But if it's his prerogative based on his own moral fortitude to only see the children when he absolutely has to because he has better shit to do, then let him do that, because then it becomes the status quo, and then it'll make less sense to a judge why he's asking for equal time when he's never asked for that in the previous 12 months until you filed for child support. Now, all of a sudden, he wants to have 50-50. Just know that when you do that, he's going to try to paint you as this mother who's trying to alienate him from the children and manipulate the children into believing that you are the better parent, and he doesn't want to have any contact with them. And he's going to say that you're doing it to keep them away. And this whole time, he's wanted 50-50, and you've denied him at every turn. So don't fall into that trap. Let his actions speak for themselves. Get the separation. Don't file for anything just yet. Give it about a year. Let a status quo develop based on how you guys are going to actually parent these children without the watchful eye of the courts. Let that become the status quo. Ask the court to adopt what you guys have been currently doing for the last 12 months, which is actually the status quo. Once that's in place, then you file for child support, and then you will get it without having to worry about him trying to do all this extra stuff. You might still try to do all that extra stuff, but it's not going to be as effective, because I think, I've been doing this a long time. Judges have been doing this a long time. They will know what he's doing and why he's doing it. So that's all I got to say for him. Any closing thoughts on that, Dominic?
No, I pretty much agree with everything you say, to be honest.
Zoe says, sounds like he's in the military. Yeah, he is. She needs to reach out military family services. They can provide assistance with counseling and divorce procedures. I mean, if he's claiming that therapy is somehow going to run counter to whatever he's got going on in the military, that's nonsense. That's 100% nonsense. It's just not a thing. Don't let him gaslight you into believing that. You were married to a child. He doesn't want to grow up. He's got Peter Pan syndrome. There are some men that have children and they quickly, even if they are prone to playing video games and doing those kinds of things, they will rise to the call of need for the family and be the man that the family needs them to be. And then there's other men that'll just do what he's doing. And unfortunately, the children are going to suffer for it. The wife is going to suffer for it. And there's not a whole lot you can do.
Man, I was hoping that you really used the better term when you said the call of need. I think it would have been a greater saying to say the call of duty to tie in with him playing video games. But
the actual you have a call of duty from your wife and kids, sir. What are you doing over here playing freaking Apex Legends, Apex Legends, whatever it's called, man? Over here playing Fortnite. Yeah, is the storm crashing in on you, sir?
Because it is in real life.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man. All right. So I feel like I've done that lady a service, and I'm gonna move on to the next hypothetical. Hey, did you know that it was your job to find A+ comments within the comments and put them on the screen so I could comment on them?
It's hard when I'm trying to keep up with the whole Reddit thing so I can give remarks. But
oh, you're cool. Hey, well, imagine how I feel when I'm
it's easier when I'm not on stage, but I'll try to help out.
do your best, man, because I'm oftentimes not looking at the chat, especially when I'm reading this shit. But all right, let me get through this next one. Am I the asshole for this effing guy? All right, ladies, I gave this whole soliloquy to Dominic earlier about timing of when you're going to get married, when to marry, when is a man ready to marry? The only correct answer to that is when he sowed his wild oats. The problem with marrying young men is that, especially nowadays with dating websites and whatever, and this lack of personal interaction that we have with each other because of cell phones and whatnot, it used to be the case that you had to ask a girl out and risk very public rejection from the person that you were courting. That's no longer how it is. And so you have these men. If it starts with this effing guy, it's going to be good, Mittens. I promise. You have these men, especially when they're younger, if they haven't sowed their wild oats and they have no idea how to do it, and they haven't developed the skill of how to talk to women, of how to woo women, of how to flirt with women, of how to communicate with women, how to make a woman laugh, how to have an intellectual conversation, how to not be beholden to your ego when they tell you and challenge you about certain things, how to not be intimidated by a woman and her beauty, or not to be intimidated by a woman and the things that she has going on in her life because of your own insecurities. If you haven't been able to experience with what other women are like, all of these women are like, to the point that you know what your limitations are as a man, and what you know what you like, and you know what you dislike, and being confident to be able to be confident enough to be in a position to reject a woman. If there's a man that you are with that has never had the opportunity and ability not to just reject any woman, but to reject a beautiful woman, then they're not ready. I said what I said, and I stand by it. There's this thing that happens with men, and I don't understand it. They have no ability. Like when a woman says jump, they jump. When a woman says, send me whatever, that's OnlyFans culture that we have. Hey, they get in like this fake relationship with them. And it's like, you want my pictures and videos? Send me $10. And they'll send it. And they'll send them these DMs and pretending to have this relationship with them. If you've never been with a man that has never purposefully and publicly, without aid of a dating website, gone up to a woman and tried to ask her out, then he's not ready. He's just not ready. Then the first moment that he's approached by any woman in the midst of your marriage that says, hey, I think that we should just like have lunch together. I think that we should go do whatever together. I think that we should do this and that. And he has no ability to reject her. He's going to be like, all right, F it. Because he's conditioned to, whenever a woman says yes, he says, hell yeah. If you've never been with a man that's been proposed to by, I'm not talking about marriage. If you've never been with a man that's been asked out by another woman, then he's not ready. If the man that you're with does not have the ability to tell the opposite sex no in the face of what would traditionally be called the most attractive of offers, then they're not ready. Hey, Dominic, if Jennifer Lopez asked you on a date, what would you say?
No.
Well, that's a bad example. Who's a good one, man? Who's the new thing? Who's the new thing back in 2024?
I'd probably say Ariana Grande.
All right, if Ariana Grande says, "Hey, Dominic, I'd really love it if I could just take you to dinner, and then maybe afterwards, maybe we just let nature take its course." What do you think about that? What would you tell her?
I'd probably instantly say yes. And
What if you were like in a committed relationship to I don't know, freaking Jennifer over there?
oh man, that's
You're
where
not
it gets
ready,
a little
sir.
tricky. But
Yeah, you're not ready, sir. You're not ready, sir. That's the standard. That's the standard. That is the standard. It's one thing to conceptualize all of those things. It's quite another to put it into practice and actually execute on it and do it. If you can't do that, then your man is not ready. He's not fully developed. And there's some men out there that never fully develop. There's men in their 40s and 50s that are still doing that kind of shit. Like there's this TikToker that goes around and like the crow says, no, that girl is off her rocker to know. That girl is off her rocker. No, those are the kinds of girls you need to stay away from him. What were we talking about again? What
I
kind
think
of
she's
girl?
talking about Ariana Grande.
Oh, Ariana Grande
yes.
would have no chance of me. First of all, she ain't my type. She's like a kid. She's like tiny. It's like dating a midget. Come on, man. What are you gonna do with that? I mean, you break them in half. You ain't careful. That's a liability issue, sir. At any rate, also, F no to dating a celebrity. That is just asking for it, man.
I think it would just be fun.
Trap. Murder Men says it's a trap. Yeah, it'd be fun, but it would be fun in the context that yeah, sure, for like a week or two.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't take it serious, but I would do it just for the fun, just to say I dated a celebrity.
It's cool when you're single, but if you're in a committed relationship, such as a marriage, and you're getting approached by Ariana Grande, you got to be able to say no. You just have to. If you're to ask a guy like me like that, I'm just so not interested. Like, nah, man, I'm good. I'm tired. I got to go to bed. My bedtime is. I got to wake up in the morning. It's a school night. I'm just not down. I'm so not down. I'm so boring nowadays at 43. But at any rate, oh, you just put up something and I accidentally.
Yeah, no, it's just do it for the plot.
Dom's cackle is great. Hey, I didn't know you had a cackle.
Sheesh. I hope not.
They're judging you over there. All right, let me get through this hypothetical, man. I feel like I'm 0.12 right now. I've only had one double. It's been that kind of morning, man.
I
don't know. Maybe I'm feeling kind of sentimental, man. There's just been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. I'm more vulnerable than I normally am when I do these kinds of shows. I'm over here giving you fatherly advice that you didn't ask for. What did you do? All right. So my wife and I separated 7 years ago. After 15 years together. Did I share my screen? No, I didn't. Let me make sure I share this with you guys so you guys could follow along. After I cheated on her, I was drunk. I don't remember, but I ended up making out with a colleague, and several people witnessed this. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't regret cheating. Not only on my wife, who is the love of my life, and my children, but the idea of cheating on anyone. My wife asked for a divorce at the time, but then she would lose any insurance. In pension, she could get through me and all the benefits. It's not even necessarily true, but I'll go with it. I convinced her that we could still be married on paper. And of course, that was the stupidest thing that he could ask. If I was his attorney like 7 years ago, I would tell him that was the stupidest thing he could have possibly told his wife. At this point, you got to cut all ties because it would have been a short-term marriage back then, and now it's not. So anyway, so she agrees. She agrees to what? I guess they could be married on paper, and of course, she could get a divorce whenever she wants to remarry. So she agrees. We have a very cordial relationship now, and our children are well adjusted to this new dismal existence, and they are relatively happy. Our youngest doesn't even remember us as a family. Well, that's kind of sad. So now to my problem. I have been very honest with my girlfriend that it wouldn't be any marriage. Now, after 5 years together, she is accusing me of wasting her life and is giving me an ultimatum. She has gotten a nice diamond ring for me, and she was very happy about it because she wanted us to have rings to mark that we aren't available. And I loved but she knew it was not going to come on, bro. He's like writing this. I love the idea, but she knew it wasn't going any further. But since she got the ring, she has been very angry and saying that I was leading her on. I feel very guilty. I doubt myself, but I have never lied to her once. I feel bad, but I never promised marriage. Am I the asshole for not wanting to get married? No, you're not. You're specifically not. She's I feel like she knew the facts. She knew who you were. You were a guy that cheated on your wife and kids. And when she met up with you, you're probably still sowing your wild oats. And so you've been together for 5 years. He says he's been very honest that it's never going to lead to marriage, and she stayed with you anyway. That's her dumbass fault. And women, when you choose a man like that, and he tells you exactly who he is, you can't get mad at him after the fact. After 5 years, when you thought that you could change him because it's going to be so different from you after he felt how tight you were, that he was going to all of a sudden change his mind. Oh, definitely. That's the tightest vagina I've ever experienced. I must marry this one. We must have lots of babies. It's never going to work out that way because your vagina is not gold. It doesn't work that way. There's not very much variance in tightness and how it's just not how that works. And, I don't know, man. He told you who he was. And you married him anyway. Well, you didn't marry him. You were with him for that long anyway. That is your bad. Let that be a lesson to you. Is he the asshole? No. I thought that was going a different direction. I would have defended his wife. I don't defend this girl at all. She was stupid for believing she could change him. Is there any ladies out there that disagree with me? What is a Moira Vesti? That is a hell of a name. Only change yourself if you want to change yourself, not by others making you change. Yeah. I don't know who she's referring to in terms of the change there, but the guy is who he is. He already had a marriage and it failed. He doesn't want to get married again. Why would he jump into another marriage when he knows who he is? He is telling her who she is. Why is Omar using Laura Owen's logic of tightness being a motivator for longevity in relationships? Because believe it or not, Zoe B, in the women that I have dated, I have heard that very line that Laura Owens used with respect to tightness. It's a thing that women say, and I never understood it. It just doesn't make. It's a thing that women say. Do they think that that's like a selling point or whatever? I don't know, man. It's just hey, Dominic, when a woman tells you how tight she is, what do you think?
I kind of just laugh about it because.
Do you even have like a basis to like compare it by? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever? Well, I don't want to make it an X-rated show. All I'm going to say is that vaginas stretch, and it doesn't matter how tight they are. They end up all being the same at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Liz Bird, all the way from the UK, says that one works both ways. After divorce, I will never get married again. And that's a smart approach to take. People that have been divorced and they know marriage for what it is, not this Disneyland version that they try to sell you on when you're like 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. But you've actually gone through the process and you've actually committed to the vows and you've seen it fall apart and you've seen the ugly side of marriage. Most people don't want to go back into that shit, man. Now, I got duped by the tilted uterus. She tricked me. She didn't trick me. I knew what I was doing. But, we were dating and it was a good time for me to dip back into that pool. But what had happened to me, here's what happened. And here's where I knew. Verbahor says the science is literally they're elastic. Yeah, they are. They could. It's just how it works. What happened to me is I was just like you just said, Dominic, but I was actually just done with it. I had been chasing women for years, man. And I was just so bored with it all. I was bored with the first dates or pretending to be interested in what people say, pretending to think that what they said was funny, pretending to woo. I was just done. I was finished. I was so not interested in it. I was so disenchanted with it all that when I found one that I liked, that I wasn't willing to give up, I stuck with it. She, and it came in stages. At first it was like, hey, here's how it actually first happened. At first we were dating. And we're sort of like friends with benefits, but we were like exclusive friends with benefits. And then it was like, I forgot her birthday. And then she got really mad at me. I didn't forget her birthday. I just texted her. She was mad because I didn't text her like prior to 9 a.m. I was in court, and she texted me some kind of stuff, some kind of mean text message about me forgetting her birthday. And then in response to that, when normally I would be like, well, what are you going to do? It's how the cookie crumbles, which I would have been my normal move. I decided to like send her flowers at her work. I showed up at her work with flowers. And then I went to her place afterwards. And then I was like, do you want to be my girlfriend? Or something like that. Something like that. That's pretty much how it happened. That's how I remember it anyway. And then it was like, hey, could I have the key to your place? And then it was like, hey, could I move in because my lease is up? And then it was like, hey, could we buy a house together? It was like, I just don't understand why you don't want to get married to me. And all of her friends were getting married. It's like, well, how do you know I wasn't going to propose like during the holidays? How do you know I was going to propose on all these different days? And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, fine, we're married. The next thing you know is like, oh shit. My whole game plan was like, we'll get married in like a couple of years. And then she got pregnant. It's like, okay, well, I guess we'll get married in September. So that's what we did. But I don't regret my decisions. I knew why I was doing it. And I wouldn't take it back for anything, but I was ready. I had sowed my oats. I had declared that I was bored with the unknown, and I was ready. And that's how it works. But if you're not in that position, then you can't. You're not ready, man. If you're not willing to turn down Ariana Grande, the midget hip hop artist over there. I don't know what her latest song is. The midget hip hop artist. That's what I'm going to go with. Then you're not ready to start a family, and I'll leave it at that. All right, so that's my hypothetical for her. Let me close this out. Did you have anything to add to this lady?
No, not really. I mean, yeah, like you said, it's on her, because why would she expect the guy to change for her when he clearly stated that he wasn't going to try to get married with her? So that's all on her.
Liz Bird says experimenting after divorce helps you learn what you don't want. I would argue that experimenting before marriage also accomplishes the same thing. There is a timing mechanism when it comes to experimentation, before or after marriage, I guess, divorce. But yeah, you got to experiment. You got to find out what you like, man. I don't know, Dominic, maybe you should try pegging.
No, definitely not. I'm cool on that.
You never know. You never know what you might
like. I think I do know. Are you speaking from experience, Omar, or what's going on?
No, I'm not, man. I'm trying to find the most extreme example of something that I know that you wouldn't want to try. That has been my historical. Look, I draw the line right there. You're not doing anything with the unholiest of unholies. Off limits. Nothing. I don't want nothing in there. But hey, to each their own, I guess. Zoe says, so the lesson learned: when you're fed up with dating, you're closer to be ready to settle down. It's not so much fed up with dating. It's just like when you know that you want a family, you have to know within your own spirituality, within your own psyche, within your own moral compass, that you are completely ready to start and raise a family. Look, dating is its own thing. You don't have to get married. You could date forever if you want. You could be tired of dating and just have hookups all your life if that's what you wanted to do. But if you're trying to decide whether or not you're ready to be married, number one, you have to want a family. And if you want a family, you have to have a purpose for the family. For most people, the purpose of a family is to leave a legacy. And if your goal is to leave a legacy, you have to understand that there's certain commitments that you must undertake that are above and beyond what a marriage requires. Your children are going to need you for things that are a lot deeper than what your wife or your partner, your spouse needs you for. And if you're not willing to sacrifice yourself for the betterment of your family, then you're just not ready. And it's a lot more complex than just whether or not you're tired of dating or not. So what if you don't want to have a family? Then don't have a family. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. My brother, the one who declared himself is gay. I don't think he's gay. I think he's bi. He's had girlfriends and boyfriends before. Some days he flies straight. Some days he flies gay. It's his prerogative. But he doesn't have any kids. He's not married. And you know what he's doing? In like a month, he's going to take a 2-month trip to Spain to do whatever the F he wants to do and explore himself and the people of Spain, I'd imagine. He asked me if I want to come. Yeah, sure. Let me go find a 2-month babysitter, dipshit. Obviously, I can't go, stupid ass. Why would you invite me? Also, I'm really jealous of you being able to do that. If I didn't have kids, I would take my wife to Spain for a couple of months. Hell yeah, I would. Hell yeah. It's just, look, having a family, there's no requirement in life. This is, you have to have a family. Having a family requires a death to self and a commitment that is greater than yourself, greater than your needs, that you're going to sacrifice not just yourself, not just your finances, not just your time, but your personal proclivities, your personal alone time, your personal, whatever it is that you like to do. You're dead to yourself. You live for your family, and you have to understand that your personal time, whatever it might be, is going to be had in spouts of minutes to hours and nothing more for a period of time until the children are of age, and then maybe they could adjust. But it's hard. It's hard to have a family. Moira says, "Oh, Omar, you really state it how it is, but makes me chuckle at the same time." Well, I hope it makes you chuckle. I'm a funny guy, funny like a clown. Do I amuse you, Dominic? You don't even know where that quote's from, do you?
I don't.
Oh, you think I'm funny? Funny how? Funny like a clown? Do I amuse you? You're not aware of the Joe Pesci line from Goodfellas? Oh, I hate so much the fact that I'm old. I'm taking a grip on the youth of America. Anyway, let's move on to another one. This guy wants to know will I be the asshole for asking for a divorce because my wife betrayed my trust? Oh, here's one that maybe goes in on women. Dance, funny man, dance. He shoots him in the foot. Or no, he didn't shoot him in the foot. He did, and then he shot him in the chest. Have you ever seen Goodfellas, Dominic?
I have not.
You're officially fired until you watch Goodfellas, Godfather, Shawshank Redemption, Pulp Fiction, and Glory. Not Glory. Cool Hand Luke. I want you to watch those 5 movies, or you can't produce the show no more. I'm going to go with Brad. All right, let's get into this hypo. So when I was a kid, this guy's 40 years old. I was groomed by my cousin, 11 years older than me, and when I was 13, she got pregnant and had the kid. It effed me up a lot, as you can imagine, and she eventually was found out and went to prison for it. Am I sharing the screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So the kid was took off her and went the foster care adoption route, and I was not allowed any form of relationship at all with the kid. He had a kid with this lady. I was groomed by a cousin 11 years older than me when I was 13. So she's 24. She got pregnant and had the kid. This is his kid. Wow. All right. So the kid was took off of her and went the foster care adoption route. I was not allowed any form of relationship at all with the kid. My parents and social services forbade it. He's now 26. Imagine being 40 years old with a 26-year-old, and has had a very troubled life. I understand he's been in and out of prison. I have continued to have no relationship or contact with him. Despite issues in my teens, I turned my life around, and I'm now married to my wife, who's 45, and we have a daughter who's 6. I have a son who's 19 from a previous relationship, who I had sole custody of until I met my wife, and she has a daughter, 25, from a previous relationship. I'm no stranger to Reddit, so I'll answer now. Yes, I've had therapy and counseling for it all. Good for you. So we've had a pretty good family unit for a few years, but 3 years ago, I had a hard time with my son after he found out about what happened to me as a kid, and he found out he technically has an older half brother and wanted a relationship with him. Despite how hard it was for me, I agreed, and my wife mainly agreed to be the main support for him and be behind it all on the condition, A, I have no contact myself, and B, our daughter doesn't hear about it and is kept out of it. That is wild. Okay, I got to make sure that this is correct in my head. So we had a pretty good family unit for 3 years, had a hard time with my son. I found out what happened to me as a kid. He found out he technically has an older half brother. Wanted a relationship with him despite how hard it was for me. Okay, I get it. So my reasoning on the latter is that she's too young to find out, and I don't want to confuse her is at such a young age. And also, she's a kid, and we'll talk about it. And I don't want anyone to find my business out. Well, that is your own problem.
Also,
But
he's putting it on the internet, so
yeah, well, there's that. I mean, anonymously, but also kids are resilient, man, especially when they're young. It doesn't matter what you tell them. Whatever you tell them, if they don't know any better, is going to become normalized to them. Anyway, so my wife agreed, and son respected my wishes. And to my knowledge, it's all been handled well. The 26-year-old got out of prison a couple of years ago when I understand my son has met him. And I thought after a while, my wife stepped away a bit as he's now old enough to have contact on his own. I've never said she would never be told the truth, just that we would tell her when she was older and could understand. So last week, I noticed my daughter was drawing a picture and I looked at it and I asked her about it. She was a bit sheepish and was acting like she wasn't supposed to. So I persisted and she answered me. It was a picture of her family. It had me, her mom, her, my son, her older sister, and her big brother, in her words. I asked her about it after more coaxing, and she said she sees him with mommy sometimes on their own. I asked her how long it's happened for, and she said he was little, but mommy said she's not supposed to talk about it and said to not tell daddy as it'll upset me. I reassured her she's not in trouble and I'm not upset with her and confronted my wife about it later when she got on. This is what the F is going on? So wife is having contact with his estranged 26-year-old son. Am I reading that correctly?
yeah.
All right. So she admitted it was true. I asked her how long it's been going on, and she said ever since my son had contact 3 years ago. She took my daughter to see him in prison once at the start because she didn't have childcare one day. And when he got out, she kept taking her to see him since. I asked her who knows, and she admitted they all know. Her, my son, even my stepdaughter knows. I was beyond angry, so I packed some things and left the house and have been staying at an Airbnb since. She's been trying to call me to talk. So was my son, and even my stepdaughter has been trying to call me and to talk about it. I just can't face them. I know I need to go home today, and I'm in the process of contemplating it, but I genuinely feel like I can't stand them all, and I'm thinking of asking for a divorce over it. My wife was the one person in life who I trusted, and I had my back enough to share it all, and I feel like she's done something on par with what my rapist did and betrayed my trust. Despite her keeping on saying how sorry she is, she just keeps saying she did it for her daughter and felt sorry for the older lad. Would I be the asshole, I guess, for wanting a divorce? Here's the update. So I'm going to go home and talk to them about it. I effing miss the kids so much and the dog. No idea what will happen. Update number 2. So I got home and me and the wife have had a chat. I've decided I don't want a divorce, but we're going to separate for a bit, and she's going to stay with my stepdaughter for a while. We're going to try couples counseling and to see where it takes us. I see some suggestions about trying individual therapy. I don't give a shit about therapy. Do it if you must. My question is, why was she seeing his estranged 26-year-old son who was in prison without him present? What did I miss there? Did I miss something? Why do you think she's doing that, Dominic?
I have no idea, to be honest. Probably trying to. Yeah, I don't know.
That just sounds like the introduction to a porn video, if I'm being honest. What is that about? Does she have some weird attraction with his 26-year-old son? Moira says it makes the person feel like they have been betrayed. Why is she going to visit him in prison? That's weird. That is weird. What do I even do with that information? Mitten says, I've heard from a psych professor who was an MFT that trial separations rarely work for resolving the issues and generally lead to full divorce. Hey, Mittens, I don't think that I need an MFT to tell me that, because I'll tell you what, in California, at least, you have the option when you want to get a divorce. You don't have to file for a full-on divorce. You could file for a legal separation. And that would allow you to collect alimony and child support and all these kinds of things, but you're not officially divorced. I've never had one of those cases not end up in a full-on divorce. These trial separations are usually permissions to go be single, and people take full advantage of this newfound freedom they haven't had for years, and they lose their minds with it. And the thought that, oh, we're just going to find ourselves. No, you're going to find other penises and other vaginas, and you're going to become infatuated with that. And all of a sudden, you're going to want to start the next chapter in life. I think I need a refill, sir. I'm pouring some Knob Creek in your honor, but I ran out of little umbrellas. Hey, Dominic, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. What?
Goddess Sahara says, social media is such a huge influence on young people nowadays, showing everyone getting married young, seeming like life is perfect, when in reality it may be the complete opposite. Well, Sahara, I will just say this, that I've taught my eldest daughter that marriage is not, look, I mean, think of all the Disney movies you've ever seen. Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Pocahontas, well, not so much Peter Pan, but you know, you're sold on this idea that you're going to live in a castle with your prince, and you guys are going to live in royalty and live happily ever after. And that's not unique to Disney, by the way. There are 100-year-old cartoons with Betty Boop telling the story of Cinderella that basically tell children the same idea. Look, you're going to meet the perfect one, live happily ever after. Nobody tells you that you're going to have bills to pay. Nobody tells you that your children are going to be little shits that are going to sap your ability or desire to have sex with your spouse, because you are running on empty the entire day, and that it's going to cause you to have resentment towards your spouse because of how tired you are. Nobody's going to tell you all the stupid little things that stress and anxiety is going to cause to turn into big things that are going to lead to the deterioration of your marriage, such that you're going to end up in somebody like myself in my office seeking a divorce or a legal separation. Nobody tells you all of those things, man. The human condition is it's a complex one. And we think, because of our humanistic ego, we think that we are somehow unique in the universe because we exist, and we think and we attach to ourselves these grandiose ideas of theology and of God and of these movies. We put ourselves in these movies, we put ourselves in these fairy tales, but we're just people, man, and we're people with these very basic needs, and we're imperfect and we make mistakes. And half of being married is learning how to forgive your wife from being I shouldn't use that word. Forgive your wife from being an asshole. I don't know why people don't like the C word, but they don't like it. I shouldn't have used that word. You got to forgive your husband from being a dick. You have to forgive him for not paying attention to you. You got to forgive her for not wanting to give in to your base desires. You got to forgive each other for not being there for you when you're flat out exhausted. It's just par for the course. Now, this lady had specific rules about identifying the 26-year-old son, the estranged son who's sitting there in prison, and she's going to visit him in prison. And he had these specific ideas about how he was going to protect his children from the knowledge of this, regardless of whether or not he's right or wrong on that. He had these ideas, and she unilaterally makes this decision to go, I guess, let the cat out of the bag or whatever she's doing. I don't know, man. Is this divorce worthy? I don't know if it's divorce worthy. You have to decide whether or not you're willing to continue in the marriage, knowing she did what she did. If you can no longer trust her the same way that you used to, then you have to decide whether or not that's worth going through a full-on divorce and destroying the castle that you have built with your wife. Only you can make that call, sir. I can't make it for you. And I wouldn't be the guy to do it. But it sounds like there is a lot more going on than what he's letting on. And it sounds like this guy's a little bit naive into what's going on. And I'm there's all kinds of red flags surrounding his wife and her going to visit the son in prison without letting him know. It's one thing to go and visit the guy in prison. It's another thing to do it without knowledge of your husband. What is that about? For what reason would she need to hide that from her husband? That is bizarre, unless it's for nefarious purposes. And then you kind of got the picture. But that is the hypothetical. I'm going to get out of this one because I don't know what more I could really do for them. The Crow asked, what else has she done? Exactly. Is she poly all of a sudden? Non-ethically polyamorous? Meaning, oh, she's poly, but her husband doesn't know about it. There's lots of that going on nowadays. Mitten says that, damn it, I think we clicked on the same comment. Hey, could you bring that comment back up?
Yeah.
Mitten says, my happily ever after might be someone else's living hell for a lot. Oh, that's a 100%. Oh, I got to tell you, I had a high school sweetheart. And then, right before I met my wife, we had reconnected and we decided to go on a date. And it was like the biggest nightmare you could ever imagine. So this whole time in my head, she was the embodiment of perfection. But when I had met her, she was a little bit older. I was a little bit older. That wasn't what was wrong. But she was just like, she had spent the night at my place once. And she was wearing these weird pajamas that I'll never forget, like straight out of like the 1850s. It was like this long sleeve ankle length dress. And I'm like, hey, nothing against that. It was just like odd in the moment. It's like, what is that? And then she like, her hair was just like all over the place and like weird. And I'd never seen her like that before. And it was extremely weird. And then her attitude was very off-putting. And she was just weird in general. And I couldn't imagine spending any length of time with her after I had built her up in my youth, in my naivete, had built her up to be like this embodiment of female perfection. The reality of it was spending time with her in any extended period of time, allowing her to share a space with me was an utter nightmare. That's why I've never been against people that are not married living together. Hey, you should give it a test run. What's wrong with that? Unless you got some religious objections, some people do. Maribeth Carswell says, checking you out for the first time after hearing about you on Turtle Island and Dolly's Uncensored channel. There's this thing called Turtle Island that I have. I guess I'm a contestant. I'm a contestant or participant. Sarcasm. Pam, she signed me up for it. I didn't know anything about it. It's like, oh, so it's Thursday, like at 8:00. What do I do? What am I supposed to do? It's like, you do nothing. People are supposed to vote, call in and vote for you to keep you on the show. And so that is a thing.
I was watching it yesterday a little bit, and I was gonna call in and I was gonna call in and have them vote you off, but I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Una says that, Omar, you need to make a no holds barred bare truth video for young men. I will make both my boys watch that at least twice a day. I feel like I've been doing that, Una, for like the last couple of years now. I mean, I've been more no holds barred with it in terms of the truth. But yeah, I feel like I'm not much different from other older men that have come before me that are concerned with the young men of today. They just don't have the same skills that real men are supposed to have. They have these misconceptions. They're just not ready for a lot of this stuff. They need to have some universal truths and understand some things before they get themselves in a position where they're supposed to be the leader of a family and they're over here playing Call of Duty for 8 hours a day. What is that? What do you think's going to happen, Dick? It's just, come on. All right. CL Lorraine says, in 1994, my husband had a stroke, completely changed his personality. I considered leaving him. I stayed because of my vows. And that's, hey, man. In sickness and in health, if that's not a vow that is real to you. Look, my wife had a health scare not too long ago because of her kidneys were failing. And it was the most startling thing I'll tell you what, though, my concerns were 100% with her health. I didn't care that her body was changing, that she was gaining weight. She's all back to normal. But at the time, there was all this stuff going on. My thoughts were completely with her. Those were the vows. And I don't know if she had concerns that I would not be there for her in the moment, but it was never a question for me. She needs me. Let's go. I was dead on tired. I didn't want to go to the ER, to the emergency room or whatever, but we went. Her sister was there. So no, obviously I'm going to go with you until whatever is satisfied, because that's your partner in life. No matter what happens to your partner, you got to be there for them. And guess what? It's not going to be to your benefit. You are completely sacrificing yourself and your life to them, because that's what you signed up for, buddy. And if you're not willing to do it, then you're not ready. You're just not ready. I feel that. Zoe B says, a great test of compatibility is moving a queen-size mattress up or downstairs when tired from a full day of moving. Nothing tests a couple communications more than moving furniture. Zoe B, I'll raise you one. Your man should be able to do that by himself. Hey, Dominic, could you move the queen-size mattress up the stairs by yourself?
Yeah, 100%.
It's not that hard. I guess the bet. I'm not sure if that's the test of compatibility. I just feel like your man should be able to. You know what? I'm being toxic right now, because not all men. I take it back. I reel it back. I would just say that men should aspire to be able to move a king size mattress up the stairs by themselves without risking their wife's back or risking them pull a hammy, because you can't get up the stairs by yourself. You're either doing it yourself or you're calling somebody else to help you. But your wife, that's not her job, man. Teresa S says, my significant other wore a pink jacket that said Pussy King on its clubs in the 90s. When you hang it up, you are ready, Dom. What does that mean?
I have no idea, but I really want that jacket.
When you don't want to be the Pussy King, I guess that means when you're ready. I guess. Erica says, I have a very heavy mattress. Touche to that, but still, it's not that hard to get it up there, There's a way to angle it and slide it up the stairs. He doesn't have to put it on his back and carry it, It's not really the move. He should be able to do it by himself. You got to, man, I remember moving my mattress. You got to just wrestle with that thing, grab it and just force it up there, man. It's your job. Nobody else is getting up there for you. What are you going to do? You got to get it up there. All right. Let me do this last one. We've been already going for an hour 52. Jesus. All right. So am I the asshole for starting the divorce process after finding out my daughter isn't mine? Oh, before I even say anything, what am I going to say, Dominic?
Yes, 100%.
That he's the asshole?
Yeah, read that again real quick. I was looking up at how heavy the queen mattress is, and it's only 120 to 160.
Oh, I was so done with the mattress comment by this point. All right, let me just get into this hypo. All right. This guy says, my life feels like a bad drama show at the moment. For some context, me, 33 male, my wife, 30-year-old female, I've been married for 7 years. And what I thought was our daughter, who is 3, looking back at this, all started with my wife gave birth to her daughter. Am I sharing the screen? I'm not, am I?
No, you're not.
All right. She suddenly became a lot more affectionate to me, was a lot more active with me in the bedroom life. She also made my favorite desserts a lot more often. She's a fantastic baker. I, of course, didn't suspect anything, since even prior to her pregnancy, there were no signs of cheating, but also possibly could be that just didn't look close enough into it. Well, this whole fiasco started 2 weeks ago, after a day out with her daughter, and she just sat me down in the evening and came clean about the fact that her daughter wasn't mine. Her waterworks, of course, also started, and apparently it was a guy from the gym, and it lasted a month before he disappeared on her after he found out she was pregnant. Honestly, even typing this now, I feel like crying, since I thought I did everything perfectly and she still cheated. Look, I've been going in on men a lot on this show, especially on this episode for whatever reason. But I feel like women, especially young women, 30 and below, I feel like they have a false sense of their ability to attract men. Girls, females, let me tell you a story, man. Men will look at a couch and they will see a pair of couch cushions and they will be of mind to lube that sucker up and go to town. If you don't believe me, J.D. Vance just wrote a book about 10 years ago talking about how all of his roommates had sex with the couch, him included, because they were lonely. So the fact that a man is willing to have sex with you is not evidence that he's attracted to you. It's evidence of his biological need to ejaculate and nothing more. Because a man that's actually attracted to you, where you're the actual woman of his dreams, will go above and beyond to make you happy. It might not be in the ways that you think. But just because he thinks that you're pretty, yeah, so what? So was couch cushions on a lonely night on a Saturday when you're 16 or whatever age. But if you think because, oh, I'm on this dating website and all these hundreds of men want to date me, yeah, the ratio of men to women on these dating websites is something like 10-1. Because most men are pursuing women and they're too chicken shit to go and approach a woman, so they go on these dating websites and they will say the exact same thing to like 100,000 different women or whatever. Oh, you're so beautiful. I don't know what it is, but I'm so intrigued by you. Your personality, your profile just speaks to me. I feel like we'd have such a spark. I feel like if we ever sat down and had some drinks, I feel like we would have this spark that would just be this beautiful thing. I feel like I just want to take you out for a drink. He just wants to sleep with you and ejaculate in you. That's it, man. If you think it's anything further than that without any evidence to the contrary, then you're foolish and probably a young lady that doesn't know any better. Sadly, there's some women that are above the age of 30 and they still think like that. And then they start OnlyFans and they get like this false sense of their ability to attract real men. And what you're actually attracting is simps. Look, any woman could walk down the street and find 50 guys that are ready and willing to sleep with them. That's not the measure of attraction to a woman. A measure of attraction to a woman is how much time and energy a man is willing to invest in her comfort, not even financially speaking. But a man who strives to be a gentleman for a female goes out of his way to make sure that she doesn't have to do certain things on her own. You could call that toxic masculinity, or if you want, you could call it my archaic view of the universe. But if a man who is seeking to start a family is going out of his way to take care of you in ways that you didn't ask for, that's how you really know that he's attracted to you. Just because he calls you pretty and says he wants to F at 3 a.m. doesn't mean shit. Am I right or am I right, Dominic? Or am I wrong?
No, you're 100% right. I agree.
So this lady hooked up with her trainer or whatever, some douchebag at the gym, thinking that it was going to be, oh, this great time or this adventure or whatever, and she gets knocked up. And now here she is with this good man that's willing to do all of the things, sacrifice for her, build a family with her, whatever. Married for 7 years, been sacrificing his own for his family. And does she make a mistake? Yeah, she probably knows that she made a mistake. And she's probably genuinely ready to, I don't know if she's genuinely, maybe she's ready to commit to a guy. But here's the thing. Even if he were to say, you know what, I take you back, all is forgiven, she's not ever going to respect him as a man, and she's going to do it again. Any man that takes a woman back after she cheats on her is never going to have the respect for that woman ever again. And that's just how it is. And so you got to have boundaries. You got to have standards. If you were a man, you have to have boundaries with your women, and you have to be willing to walk away when they cross those boundaries. Otherwise, they're never going to respect you or those boundaries. And that's just how it is. And I'm only saying this because I've been going really hard on men in these conversations, but it goes both ways. Men have duties, women have duties, and you just have to understand there's different roles when it comes to dating. So anyway, where did I leave off? Waterworks, honestly, even type is now I feel like crying. Okay, so as much as I wish I could say I had a stone face or something, I just started crying and she tried to comfort me. but I just pushed her away. I felt so disgusted with her. After I had calmed down a bit, I just grabbed my jacket and left for a hotel. And while I was leaving, she just begged and pleaded me to forgive her and that I was the only father her daughter knew. After crying myself to sleep in the hotel the next day, after I turned my phone back on, I had seen she had blown up my phone and I didn't read any of it. And I just blocked her after leaving. After having a little bit of breakfast, contacted a lawyer to start the divorce process. And at work, I just asked for some time off and my boss gave me a month. By the evening, my mom and sister were calling me on her behalf and were on the side or were on her side. And that just hurt me even more. While I'm not proud to admit this, I did drink myself to sleep at night. After that night, I started staying with my best friend, and my mom and sister kept spamming and calling me. A few days later, after she probably got the divorce papers, my mom just sent me a long text that, to summarize, was that I should step up and forgive her and not abandon my, in quotation marks, daughter, and that she would disown me if I went through with the divorce. Look, mom needs to stay the F out of it. It's none of her goddamn business. Are we talking about mom or in-law? Am I misreading this?
I think it's his mom, right? His
Yeah.
mom and sister.
Look, it's not my mom, so I could talk like that. I'm just saying that it's none of his mom's business about what this man does from here on going out. And honestly, he needs a different perspective than a female's at this point. But I will say this because I haven't even addressed the kid in all of this. My sister and mom are against me divorcing her, but my best friend and his wife are saying I have the rights to not want to be with her or take care of her kid. So I'm split on this one. On one hand, I did raise the baby for 3 years. On another, I don't know if I could, in the right mind, raise the reminder of my wife, her affair. So to put some context, my sister is infertile, so I think that's also, I don't give a shit about your sister. Let's talk about the 3-year-old. The 3-year-old child you've been raising for 3 years. If you were to walk away and never speak to her again, she's resilient enough where she would recover. The alternative to staying with this lady is she's never going to respect you going forward. She's 100% going to do it again. In 7 years, she's going to be hitting you up for an open polyamorous relationship. And she's going to be expecting you to fully provide for this child that is not biologically yours. You know what that makes you in the state of California? That makes you a putative parent, a presumed parent. You know what that does? It subjects you to child support. Now you're financially responsible for this child, no matter what happens in your relationship with this lady that's inevitably doomed to failure. And you're raising this child who is not even yours, and you're not even with her mom until she turns 18. And the guy that was with the gym is off the hook. What are you going to do about that, sir? Those are the prospects. That's what it is. Moira says, Moira's been awesome in this chat so far. If the person has been cheating on, the person who has left needs self-respect, but needs to explain to the daughter it's not their fault, but you have decisions you have to make. I got to tell you, Moira, I dropped my daughters off at daycare this morning, like at 7:45, 8 o'clock. And there was this, I got to tell you, once you become a dad, Dominic, you'll experience this someday. Once you become a dad, you're a dad for everybody. There was this young girl that was like sitting off by herself in this huge playground, and she's sitting off by the tree, and the outline is like, when I drop my kids off, I walk up the hill and around, and you could kind of look down on the playground. And I see this one isolated little girl who's like 3 or 4 years old, and she's crying, Daddy, Daddy, I want you. And it normally, look, everybody's crying in preschool, man, but this little girl, it struck a chord. She's sitting there all by herself next to this tree, and she just wants her dad. Now, you think about the law of averages. Most of those kids were not doing that. She was the only one out of maybe a couple 150, I don't know, something like that. and she's screaming for her dad. And what would prompt her to do such a thing? I'm not a therapist. I don't know. I'm just a dad that recognized a child in distress. And it's a funny thing. I was not the only one that was stopping to witness and watch. There was other dads that were like lining up like, hey, is somebody going to go take care of that girl? And I sat there for a minute, 5 to 10 minutes, and this girl is going on, and there's other kids going up to her to approach her to try to calm her down, and she's like scared. There's this other older girl that appeared to like go up to her, and she was trying to be friends or give her a hug, and she like backed away like she was scared. And then I watched this other teacher like walk up to other kids like, are you going to go and get that kid? I like had half a mind to jump the fence and go like pick up that kid and like just give her the biggest hug ever. And she was by herself. And she was about 3 years old. And it just made me think, like, what is going on with this girl that she has this separation anxiety? Maybe it's nothing. But maybe, like, she just legitimately doesn't have her father in her life enough to where she could feel safe when he leaves to drop her off from school. And this 3-year-old little girl is doomed to not have her father in her life for the entirety of her childhood, because this guy is not her biological father. It's her putative father, the presumed parent, the dad who's assuming the role and has done so unknowingly for the last 3 years. When he goes away, this little girl is going to be abandoned. So what are your options here? Your options are to try to stay with this lady who's very obviously going to be cheating on you again, probably in the near future. And try your best to try to raise this child, and basically you're going to be adopting her as your own. If you're unwilling to do that, or you have any reservation whatsoever, then get the hell out, leave, and don't look back, because that little girl doesn't deserve a half-assed, putative parent. So my advice to this guy is he's either all the way in or he's all the way out, but he can't do both. Because if he divorces this lady and tries to maintain a relationship with the 3-year-old, what's that going to look like, man? When she starts dating again, all of a sudden, some new guy wants to assume the role. Then you're pushed to the curb and you're no longer relevant. You're completely obsolete, except obviously to the 3-year-old girl, but she's not going to have a say in the matter at all. Is she? What if biological father wants to come around and assert his parental rights? You're going to have to be grown up enough to know how to co-parent, not just with mom, but with her ex, or not even her ex, her fling, her gym fling. You're going to do that? You're going to do all of that, sir? These are the prospects. It's not even your fault. You didn't put yourself in this position, but this is the reality of your situation. Stay with her and be disrespected for the rest of your life. Be known as a simp, and she's going to 100% do what she wants to do. And you're going to be providing for not just the mom, but this child as well. The child will benefit, I guess. Maybe. There's no scenario where there's a happy ending where you're going to be in a loving relationship with mom and this 3-year-old, and it's going to be as if nothing ever happened. You're never going to be able to forget that you're not her biological father. And that's going to affect the way that you interact with this child for the rest of your life. So you're going to have to make some hard decisions on your own. I can't tell you what those decisions are, but the decisions are literally this. Option 1, stay with the mom. Become, in her mind, even subconsciously, a simp for the rest of the duration of your relationship with her, where she will no doubt cheat on you again, multiple times probably, and raise that little girl as if nothing ever happened, and lose your self-respect, lose your dignity, and die to your ego. That's option 1. Option 2 is to divorce immediately and turn your back on everybody, because there is not an in-between option here. That is it. Both of those options suck, but you're the one that has to choose. Are you an asshole for wanting a divorce? No, nobody's going to judge you no matter what decision you make. Just know that those are the circumstances. What do you think, Dominic?
I agree. Nah, not much more to add, to be honest.
It's like you have the insight of Buddha. Erica Polly says, Omar, have you heard about the Allison Chow case, a recent missing 16-year-old out of Monterey Park? I think
I have.
Vaguely, what's going on with the Allison Chow case?
Yeah, she was missing for, I believe, a couple weeks, and then they recently found her, I want to say 2 weeks ago.
I did hear about this case.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to her. She was missing. So did they find her?
Yeah, they did. They found her. And I think the dad had something to do with it. So now they're investigating him or something like that from the last thing I saw.
I'm reading an
So
article.
it's like a little weird.
Yeah, people.com. The father of a 15-year-old California girl who was missing for a week before she was found has now been charged with abducting her after Allison Chow was found on July 23rd. 7 days after her disappearance, her father, Jeffrey Chow, thanked everyone and helped locate his daughter. I really appreciate everyone coming out. Jeffrey said at a press conference, according to ABC 7, I'd really like to thank all the friends, the community that came out and helped find her. We've been really worried about where she's been and really appreciate what everybody's done and helped out with. But on July 26th, the Monterey Park Police Department announced it had arrested Jeffrey in connection with Allison's disappearance. He is accused of child abduction, conspiracy, and falsifying a police report. The department said jail records indicate Jeffrey is in custody. It is not immediately clear if he entered a plea. Police did not say what led to the charge against Allison's father. Allison was reported missing on July 16th, last seen leaving her father's house in Monterey Park, according to a report at the time. ABC 7 reported that Allison was found safely when a security guard at KABC in Glendale, California, spotted her walking alone, being followed by a woman in a car. The woman, who did not want to be identified, told the LA Times she saw the girl walking and recognized her as Allison. The Times reported that the woman said Allison told her and the security guard that she had run away from home, didn't want to go back. Allison reportedly said she had gone on the news outlet to tell her side of the story. In a press conference held after Allison was located, it was reported that the girl's mother was recently granted temporary custody following her parents' divorce. NBC LA reported that an attorney for Jeffrey had previously said Allison had been living with her father when her mother was granted temporary custody not long before the teen went missing. This is a very complex. Okay, so that's what happened. I did hear about it when it happened. I did not know that she was found. I feel like that is grounds for a future episode of Tilted Nights. I think I got to cover that case. That is intense. Yeah, I'm going to be covering that. Just Jen says falsifying. Yeah, that happens a lot. Believe it or not. They charged her dad. Lisa Hines. When my daughter was in 5th grade, I walked her to the bus stop every morning and afternoon, and it would surprise me that there was a 1st grade boy and his little sister in 5K, always alone. I don't know how parents could just leave their children alone. My eldest daughter is 18 years old. It was the hardest thing until she got to about high school, where I would leave her alone, where I would feel comfortable that she could get to where she's going by herself. I couldn't imagine leaving my 4 and 5-year-olds just to walk to the school bus, pick up and drop off zone. I don't know, man. Anyway, so as to that last hypothetical, that's really it. That's all I got to say to him. So that's all I have for Family Law After Dark, man. Do you have any interesting thoughts or hypotheticals or things that you want to comment on? Anime characters you want to share or video games you want to play?
No, not really. I think we just need to. I saw some interest on people wanting to watch this game together, so maybe that could be like a Patreon thing where I can 1v1 you on maybe what do you call it? MLB The Show. But who knows? We'll see.
I am so down for that, man. I am so down.